Okay, hello everybody, welcome back again. This lecture today is focused on chapter 21. This is the last chapter that I'm going to be recording from Sage 300 2017. So this chapter is focused on periodic batch processing in account receiver module. So as we are finishing up the account receiver module, there are a few things that you have to make sure you complete it at the end of the month, or at the end of the quarter, or at the end of the year, depending on how frequently you close your financial statement. So there are three main things that I'm going to be covering up, even though the chapter has a few more things that are there. We'll go through it as it mentioned in the chapter, so that way you guys understand what need to be covered in this chapter, and then as I go along the chapter, and then I'll explain you what are the key things that you need to know for your exam. So chapter 21 is focused on periodic batch processing and account receivable, and this will be done after you finish up processing all the batches in account receivables, and they're all posted in your account receivable module. And once everything in regards to invoice batches, in regards to your adjustment batches, in regards to your receipt batches, they're all posted, and they're posted, and your books are up to date in account receivable, and your aging is up to date. You have sent out the statements before you sent out the statements to customers. You're going to be processing a couple of things before you close up your account receivable module. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating interest batches using the system. So if you remember, when we were doing chapter lesson 16, when we were setting up the account receivable, we created some account interest profiles, and then when we were setting up some customers, we linked those profiles to some of the customers. So the main purpose for us to create those interest profiles and link them to customers, so that way we can use them at the end of the month to charge them interest if they're overdue. So just to brief you, what we're going to be doing is by using the interest batches, we can tell the system to run the interest batch for us, which includes anybody who's overdue. The system will automatically calculate the interest for the period they are overdue for, and it will create a batch with all the entries that need to be done for those interest calculations, and we need to charge those customers. So the process is that first you're gonna tell the system to run the interest batches. Once the interest batch is created, you're gonna review that in your invoice batches, and then you're gonna post that into a system. Then your aging will be updated. So step number one is you're going to run the interest batch. So everything that you need to do on a periodic basis is going to be done under your tab called account receivable periodic processing, as you see it on the screen. And then over here you have something called create interest batches. So you're going to double click on this, and it's going to ask you, when do you want to run this? So to run this, you will run as of October 28, 2019. The posting date will be October 28, 2019 as well. Select by billing cycle. You can do that, or you can say by customer numbers, and you leave it blank. That means it's going to select everybody from top to the bottom. You don't have to worry about any of those details, because those details are not going to be important for us. And then you're going to click process. Once you click process, it went through all your agings in your account receivable. Anybody who was overdue, it has calculated 6 interest invoices and placed them in batch number 5. So therefore the batch has been created. There are 6 entries that were created in the batch, and the batch number is number 5. Okay, so you can close it. So we're done first step, which is creating interest batches. And then you're going to go under AR transactions, double click on invoice batch listing, and that is your batch number 5 with 6 entries, total $187.27. You can double click if you want to review it. You can see that So the first customer is Mr. John James. Balance overdue is $395.50, and it calculates interest of $4.23, and invoice number is 50. And you can scroll down. Number 2 is for Lang Machine, and number 3 is for BC Electronic, 4 is for National Electric, 5 is National Electrical as well, and the last one is US Metal. So all those are done. If you want, you can change it. There's no need to change because the system has done the calculation based on how the profile was set up. So therefore it is important how the profile was set up. So now once you finish this, what you're going to do is you're going to post it. So it's going to say ready to post. It's going to ask you to print it. So you can quickly print this just on the screen. I want to change the preview to change the print destination to preview. It is already preview. Letter A4 size. Press OK. And then you come in here. I'm going to say print. I'm only going to view this print screen. Okay, so there is my batch with 6 entries. So I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to close this one here. Now I'm going to change the right post to yes and click post. Okay, so now your interest batches are posted, your aging is all up to date. Okay, so this is what you're going to do when you're running the interest batches. So there's 3-step process. One is running interest batch using AI periodic processing. Second, you're going to invoicing, review it. Once you review it, the third step is post it. Okay, once that's done, you're done with your interest batches. And the next important thing that you need to know from this chapter is running recurring charges. So the recurring charges are the kind of charges that you're doing on month end. But you guys have to remember this: recurring charges will not run if you have not created the recurring charges. Recurring charges, when you actually set up the transactions when you sign up a lease. So this kind of a process is very useful when you have a customer comes in and they rent an equipment, or they agree on a services which you have to charge them on a monthly basis. So it's always a 2-step process. The first step is when you have somebody lease something from you or sign up an engagement agreement and you want to charge them on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, what you can do is you can go into AR setup. Under your setup, there is the recurring charges here. Okay, it's not here. So under AR customer, there is a recurring charges here. So I'm going to show you the one that was created back in the previous chapter. So this was for machinery rental, customer number 1120. So this was created on a monthly, and it will run from February 28th till March 23rd, and all the details were recorded when we created this recurring entry. So this entry is going to run all the way from February till March 23rd of 2017 on a monthly basis. Okay, everything that you have set up here, it will be created. So there's 2 here, and if you keep adding more and more, they all will be remembered by the system, and it will be automatically created when you're creating a recurring batches. So now this is something that you will be doing as on a daily basis as you go along and you have new agreements in place. But on a month end, you don't have much to do. All you're going to do is you're going to go into AI periodic processing. So if I ask you, say, you know what, now this is the time for you to create a recurring charge batch. So you are going to go under AI periodic processing. Then you double click on create recurring charges. The important information that you have to tell the system is when are you running this. So we're going to tell the system we're running as of February 28, 2019. So system, remember that last time it was done is February 28 when you go into March. Okay, so this one, I remember that, okay, if something that was run in January, now the next one will be done in February, which is in 30 days. Okay, So by recurring charges, that will let you select from where you're gonna begin, where you're gonna end. So we're gonna leave it as blank, so it will run it automatically. So now we're gonna click process. So when you click process, what the system is gonna do is it's gonna go back into your recurring charges and look into all the recurring charges. Anything that's supposed to be created in the month of February will be automatically created. So by clicking this, it created 2 invoices and placed it in batch number 6. Now once you finish, again it's 3-step process as well for creating recurring charges. Once you finish that, then next thing that you're going to do is you are going to go under your transactions, click on invoice batches. So there is your batch number 6, has 2 entries, total 3,647 and 50 cents. If you want to review, you can double click on it, review these entries. This is entry number 1. You want to change anything, you can. Entry number 2, US metals, and again if you want to change, you can. There is no changes for us, so we can simply close it. And then before you post it, you have to print the batch listing. We're only going to print it on screen, but if you're in a workplace where you're required to print the batch listing, you can print this and keep it for your filing purposes. For now, we're only going to do it on a screen. We review it, we are happy with that, we're going to close it, close this screen as well. Now ready to post, yes, and click post. Okay, so once this is posted, you're ready. Now what you're going to do is close the screen. You're done creating recurring charges. Okay, so now that's the second part that was important from this chapter. Now there's one more thing that you need to know from this chapter is creating write-off batches. I'm not a big fan of a write-off batches using Sage 300. The reason is that you always want to make sure when you're writing off on a customer from your aging, you want to make sure you have done all the due diligence of collecting the money from a customer, and in a situation where you know that this customer is not going to pay you, what you do is that time you write it off and then maybe hire a lawyer to collect whatever you can, unless the client is bankrupt and you have no certainty that you're gonna get the money back. So in that, I always suggest that you always do this manually, because if you use this create the write-off batches, I can show you where you're gonna do, but I'm not gonna have you guys do this, and I'm gonna cover that in the test, in the exam as well. So it's done under the AI periodic processing, and there is a tab here, create write-off batches. So what this will do is you just tell, so you kind of are creating a command saying, you know what, write off anything that are outstanding for a certain number of days. You can do it by the amount or by the percentage. So once you do that and you click process, it's going to look at all the invoices that are due or overdue by that number of days, and it will clear that off from your aging. So if your company is like that, you are most likely to do it. But I always say, you know what, you wanted to know which one you're writing off, so that way you can validate it, document it, and then take a legal action if you need to. So I'm not gonna say, you know what, you never use this feature in your software if you ever use this software in your company or in any company that you work for, but you can. But my recommendation is always that using the write-off manually, where you clear up the invoice and have a reason for it, and then you write that off from your aging. So if you were to do this, you simply put all the command that you need to do, click process, then a batch will be created, and then you just review it and post that batch. So for now, I'm not going to process it, so I'm going to simply close this and then come back to your home screen here under account receivable. So these are the 3 main things that are covered up from your account receivable module. So once everything is done, you're ready to close up your account receivable batches. What would you do at the end is you go into your AR customer reports, you can print out the agings. So you go into the AR transaction reports, you can print out the age trial balance, which tells you how much is outstanding to each customers with the number of days, which is current, first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and over 90 days. So this is the aging that you will put it into your filing, and you confirm that the account receivable is closed, and you have a total of $110,550.66 outstanding as of February 28, 2019. So you're closed, your account receivable is closed, and now it goes to the accountant who's going to close up the financial statement. So you close up the account receivable module, now the accountant has to close off your journal ledger. So there's only one thing that you need to know from your journal ledger remember what I have mentioned to you at the very beginning. Sage 300 is an ERP system. That means all the modules that you're working on this software is automatically linked to your journal ledger. So if you were working on account receivable, all the entries that you're doing in account receivables are automatically getting created in journal ledger. Now what the accountant is going to go into the journal ledger is he's going to go into your GL transaction, look at the batch listing, and he's going to see that there are so many batches that are here that are open. They all came in from accounts payable, they came in from account receivables, and they are open. Some of them are deleted. Okay, what the accountant is going to do with these batches, the accountant is going to review this, and there's only one thing I have mentioned to you before is the opening batches coming from the sub ledger will be deleted in the journal ledger, and that only happens once when you're moving it from one system to another. After that, everything that you're going to do in the sub ledgers has to be posted in the journal ledger as well. Some companies do it automatically. Some companies want the accountant to review all the batches coming from sub ledgers before they post it into a journal ledger. So here what you need to do is you're going to make sure you review these batches and post them. Okay, so now before you post them, one thing that I'm going to suggest you to do is, if you're working in a company that should have been set up for you, but it's important for you to review it, is if I go back into my GL account and look for the account, so I'll look for the bank account first. So this is my bank checking account. This account is a control account. Look at my sub ledger. It only accepts entries from BK. It only accepts entries from the bank sub ledger. But now when you're posting these entries, you are posting it into the journal ledger, but it's coming in from AP and AR. Okay, so when you are going to post the entries in the journal ledger, you're going to be posting it here, but you want to make sure that this account is ready to accept the entries from AR and AP. Okay, so somehow I'm not able to go to the next line just because I have an issue with the insert button on my keyboard. But what you do is you click insert and you take it to the next tab, and then from there you're going to go into account receivable, select one of the AR sub ledger, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to select one of the sub ledger in AP. Once you have that, you click save, and you're going to do the same thing with the account receivable. But the account receivable, you only need to do that. So you're going to make this account a control account, click on a sub ledger, and over here you're going to click on the browser. For this one, this is your account receivable, so we're going to select AR. You can select any AR and click save, and then you're going to go into another AR that's also a control account. And because remember we have two different account receivables, US and Canadian, so I'm going to pick one AR here as well, and then I'm going to select accounts payable and link that to accounts payable module. So there's only one accounts payable I have. I'm going to make this account a control account as well, click on a sub ledger, and over here I'm going to select accounts payable. Okay, so bank should have 3 subledgers because AP payments will be posted in the bank account as well. AR receipts, deposits are going to be posted there as well. And then in regards to the accounts AR, you're only going to have one subledger, which is AR, and accounts payable, you're only going to have one subledger, which will be accounts payable. Once you finish doing that, then you're going to go into a GL transaction and look at all these entries. Anything that's open batches, opening entries, you'll be deleting it. So if you see this in accounts payable, the first 2 batches are deleted because those were opening batches. All the other batches, they are still open, but they has to be posted. AR, this was the opening entry. It's already deleted, so you don't have to worry about it. Which should be, this one you already deleted when you guys were doing account receivable entries. And the next one you have is all these AR batches. They're all batches that are sitting here that has to be posted. So what you're going to do is you're going to change all of them from no to yes. And once you change that, you can simply click post all. That means it's going to post all those batches. Okay, you can do one by one, but if you just say yes to all of them, manually changing this, and then click post, it will post everything and assign one sequence number for all those batches. And once you finish that, then your entries are posted, your financial statements are updated, and then the accountant can go in, print up the trial balance, and then they will start preparing financial statements. If you want to print the financial statements from here, you can always go into financial reporters, click print financial statements. It will print up the balance sheet, income statement, and a cash flow if you have that set up in the system. Okay, so that's pretty much what you guys need to do, what you need to know from chapter 21. And even after you close up the financial statements, your trial balance, your journal ledger is closed, and then you close up the period and then move into the next year by creating a new fiscal year, and then you move into the next year, and the closing entry will be done by the system automatically. So that'll be the end of the course. Now to review this, I will say, make sure you know how to create the interest batches, how to process the interest batches, what are the reasons that explains you for interest batches, and same thing with the recurring charges. Know the reasoning for it, should know the process, and then at the end what you need to know in the general ledger batches from all the subledger batches that are coming in from different subledgers. Alright, so this is it. So I wish you good luck completing this chapter. Now to complete this chapter, you guys can use your own database file, or you can use the one that I have posted on Blackboard, which is the end of lesson 20th to complete 21. Right? Good luck everybody.